All right, happy Sunday. How are you? If you're on here, say hello, but definitely comment and share to your wall. Let me see here, or your group if you have a group. Today is day 22nd of 30 stories, 30 women, 30 stories. Amazing testimony so far that women are sharing. Don't forget, we are live broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope all together. So you can always go back. I like YouTube, but you can use Facebook and Periscope. But I like YouTube because they're all there already. You can always go back and rewatch them. Whatever story resonates with you, I would definitely encourage you to make a connection with that particular lady. Or if somebody's going through something that you're hearing, definitely just say, hey, listen to this video, this testimonial, and perhaps she will help you, because you really don't know what people are going through. And if God is putting it on your heart to share with someone, it is because there's a reason, right? Do not forget to subscribe to A Know for God on YouTube. Again, I love it because they're all there live. As a matter of fact, like I said, we're live on YouTube as well. And then you can always go back and watch them. So if you're working out, taking a walk, I don't know, do some chores around the house, you can definitely play those and listen to them. Again, today is day 22. Then next Wednesday will be our last day. So there's a lot of stories coming at you today. I will be on again at 3 p.m. Pacific, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with lots and lots of more stories. And like I said, Wednesday will be our last day. So I'm definitely hoping you're enjoying these stories. And again, definitely share them out. Our guest is here. Pamela says, good morning. Good morning, Pamela. I'll bring Rundee here. I said a little slow because I don't want to mess it up. But I was like, she said it. She says it. So good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, or good evening in my time.
No. Well, 11 a.m. Vegas time is still morning to me.
Okay.
Well, it's not that morning, but anyway, early morning. No,
It's
late.
still morning. It's still morning. You are correct.
Until noon, then it's afternoon. So we're good. All right. So thank you so much for taking time. Here we go. Taking time today to share your testimonies. I know we're always busy with kids and work and all that stuff. So I truly appreciate you taking time today to share your testimony. Let me get here. Here we go. So let's just get to it. Tell us a little bit about maybe your childhood, growing up. A lot of the women shared that they were brought up in different religions, or they were part of Christianity, and somehow they kind of went away for a little bit. And then just tell us events that led up to really surrendering you and your life to Christ, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So I'm originally born, in Texas, Fort Worth. I had the privilege, I say, of being raised somewhat by my great grandparents who were born in 1912 and 1914.
Wow.
I was raised Baptist. I still am Baptist, but I've did like non-denominational before, and my husband is actually Catholic. I'm not really a big fan of like just labeling people like on the religion, as long as I feel like if you believe in Jesus Christ and he died for our sins and that he's coming back and that like it's only that one way, I'm okay. Like I really am. Growing up, I like bounced house to house. My mom was like in and out the streets. I was a teenage mom, but I remember at the age of 9, I was baptized, and it was for the wrong reason. I got baptized because we stayed in a set of low-income apartments, which is known as the projects.
Yeah.
And there was this church group that would come that was called Stitches. And so I would like go to church because they offered us candy.
I remember that when I was growing up, the neighbor, we used to live in these apartments, and I don't remember if it was Catholic, Christianity, I don't know what it was. And they were like, we could just take your kids in a bus if we're candy. I'm like, yeah, I imagine that now, like, you're just letting people take your kids in a bus, and it boggles my mind, but I
Yes.
remember.
Yeah, so I used to ride the bus, and I remember like my great granny, she always told me like read the Bible, but when you're younger, you're like, read what? Like I don't really know. And so that first time I got baptized, I was like, oh, I get a large size candy bar. And I'm like, yeah, I do believe in Jesus, but sincerely, I did not know what it was to be baptized. So then I got baptized again. Yes, I know you're only supposed to get baptized one time. But again, like I said, I really didn't know the first time. The second time I was 12. And so I sincerely felt it. I don't know why. I was like, hey, I might as well. I had already had a hard life, was like moving house to house. Just a lot of, identity things. Though you may see my skin color, I am biracial. My dad is Hispanic and my mom is African American. And so those are the things I was trying to identify with. I tried to go stay with my dad and learn about him. I stayed with my grandma, who, by the way, was racist. Like, she did not believe my mom should have had me by a Hispanic guy.
Oh, wow.
And so I have an older sister, so I actually like experienced like that, racist from my own grandma, which is why my great grandparents came into the picture. My grandma actually passed, and when my grandma passed, my mom went to jail, and I was adopted. And so when I was adopted, my stepmom was non-denominational, but she believed in Jesus Christ. And then my step grandma, oh my gosh, I can't even remember that religion. She was something I really can't remember. But either way, I was a teenage mom, and I remember just saying, God, I vividly remember, was like, God, if you can just help me to raise her to where she knows you. Something that I felt like I probably missed on and off, and I never knew why God, why he just kept me from so much. Like, I never experienced, rape or anything, mistreatment, as many houses that I moved in. Like, he just kept me protected.
Right.
And so when I had my baby, I'm like, God, I get emotional. I'm sorry. I'm like,
okay.
God,
How old were you when you had your daughter?
So I was 18. I was a senior. So I was pregnant my senior year, and I had her right after we graduated.
Okay.
And so I have a really, really close cousin that we like went to middle school and high school with. And I know this sounds crazy, but like we were like, hey, let's make a bet and see who can like stay a virgin the longest. And so like we betted that, right? Like, I don't know why, even though I was in high school, like I played sports and everything. And peer pressure, right?
Yeah.
You start hanging around people, and I'm like, well, and I wasn't involved. I just started looking at everybody else and didn't have like the father figure. My coach stepped in and played like a big father figure role for me, and he would tell us all the time, don't get sidetracked by those boys, don't do it. And so me being the person I am, I'm like, well, my friends have a boyfriend, like I need a boyfriend. And so of course I became pregnant. People can say what they want. I say on my second time, but hey, I say this, I think I became more close to God because I didn't know, right? Nobody knows how to be a parent. I don't care how many books you read. I began to go to school and try to get my degree and like learn. But I asked God, if you really, trust me with this baby, because I'm just a steward. I'm just a steward. Like, keep me close to you. Why did I pray that prayer? I don't know. I prayed for patience.
Yes,
And she's 15, and Grace, believe it or not, like, she has kept me close to God because she has been she's my strong will child.
I have one.
And if you know anything about that, you like, God, I need you like every day, like I can't do anything. I can't wake up without you. I can't teach her. I can't pray with her. I can't do anything without you. And so I just asked God, I was like, just please don't forget about me. So I believe me having my daughter was like the the connection that kept me close and still keeps me close. Because I'm praying like twice as hard. I'm like, God protect her, like I can only do so much as a parent, but I know like with your power that you are like the Almighty and you control everything. The other calling, I feel like I rededicated my life again, was with my husband. I know nothing about being married. The only people I saw married were my great grandparents. My granny, she was single. My mom was single. When I was adopted, my stepmom was single. My step granny was a widower for 30 years. Her sisters were widowers. So although they were married, we never saw a male present. They just believed one marriage. So I grew up in a independent, strong environment. And so for me to get married is like a generational curse breaker. My husband has served 8 years in the war. I salute him. But if you know anything about being married, that's another test too, right? And so with him being Catholic, I remember asking God, I'm like, wait, are we unequally yoked? Like what does this mean? And so I'm like, well, no, I don't want to be married no more. And so he was like, no, that's not what it means. Right. So basically what happened with that, my husband was brought up Catholic, but when he went to the army, he was ordained to be a Baptist preacher.
Oh, wow.
And so God has that funny way of doing everything, right? So I would ask him, I'm like, so what happens? And, and like, what are y'all doing Catholic? Like, who are y'all serving? I want to know. And I don't know what it's like for everybody. He says they reference Mary, but that's not who they worship. They just make sure they respect her because she is the one that gave birth to Jesus, but they know it's only one Jesus. So I'm like, woo, okay, we got past that. But
yeah,
as
I was brought up Catholic. That's why I understand what he's saying.
Got you. I was so nervous. I was like, well, this is not gonna work. So back to him. So there's a lot of things, men and women are just different, period. And so marriage cannot work without God. It's just not gonna work. It cannot. And I tell anybody that you cannot marry somebody and become one and not have God in that picture. If not, you're basically gonna be two people, and then God's gonna be here, you're gonna go left and he's gonna go right. And so I need him, right? So every day I'm like, God, teach me, because a lot of times I want to point the hand and say, well, he doing this or he not doing this. And a lot of times God is like, look right here. Look at you. I need you to stop and I need you to focus on you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Speaking of that was my husband. But no, he was like, I need you to focus on you. And so once you focus on you, then I know that you're going to have your eyes on me, and then I can work on him. But if you keep trying to point your hands on him and keep trying to pinpoint what he's not doing, then you're taking your eyes off of yourself and me. So it's not going to work. And he'll take you in that circle like round and round until you get it.
I can totally relate.
Those are the two factors of my life that made me come closer to God, like really.
And I want to just emphasize and I was just thinking about this yesterday, that the two things I feel. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Let me see. No. Can you hear me? No.
Did I do something wrong?
I don't think so. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you anymore. Like I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, what about now?
You might have to walk me through this. Hold on.
Can you there she might come back on. Let's see. She'll come back on, and then we will continue, because there's a couple of things I want to discuss with what she's just saying. Hopefully she'll come back on here. because one of the books that I always recommend is Derek Prince. I'm trying to see if I can look at it in my bookcase. Marriage Covenant, which is an amazing book, really. If you have not, let's see, she's coming back on. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I'm so sorry. What did I do?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Jesus. Okay.
Technology. But what I was saying right before you got on, one of the books that I recommend that I wish I would have read a long time ago is Derek Prince. I think it's called Marriage Covenant.
Okay.
It explains marriage very detailed and how marriage is not about you, like you were saying. It's really about one and having God. I feel that the two things that the world, school, because I've been an educator for 15 years. I taught high school I was a high school teacher for 8 years, and I'm currently a high school counselor. What is not being taught is parenting and how to have a godly marriage. Like two things that are most important, I feel, in life are not being taught as they should, right? All the other things are being taught, but not that. And I like what your coach said, because I would say the same thing to my high school students. I'm like, boyfriends and girlfriends are a waste of time right now. Right now, you're in high school. Focus on schoolwork, pass all your classes, and teenagers, they get into, but miss. But the book, no, they're wasted time because they're trying to veer you off what you have to do. But so I would say the same thing as your coach. Like, no, don't waste your time. It's don't because likelihood. And they would get a little upset. I'm like, 99%, this person, you're going to forget about them tomorrow. So let's just move on after. Yeah, so let's focus on that. So I like that you said too, because let me see here. Here we go. I have 2 kids too, and I have a very strong-willed daughter. I don't know, those girls tend to mistakes, and it's like every day, it's like, give me patience, above all patience, right? But like you were saying too, marriage really, like you were saying, and I've also experienced, it's really about you changing, because you can say him, or him, whatever, but what is it that you're doing internally to kind of change that? And that's where really the transformation starts. We usually want to say, like, have them change first and then I'll change. That's usually like, no, I want to see that change in them and then I can change God. And that's usually not how it works, So that's usually not how it works. All right. So some advice you would give women that are going through the same thing you went through. What would be some advice?
I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but it's only a season. It's only a season.
Yeah.
And if I could reiterate that, when I say it's only a season, make the best out of that season. Like, don't stay in the zone where you're like constantly complaining or you're constantly angry. Just stop and say, God, what is it that you want me to learn? And a lot of times I'm one of those people that I always point the finger at myself. I'm like, what did I do? What can I improve? But a lot of times God can take you through things to help somebody else. You may not have even, sprouted any seeds or anything. It just may be he needs you to show his light to somebody else that may be struggling on either accepting him or trying to walk the walk, or saying, what Jesus does she serve, So whenever you're in that season, especially that season where it feels like hell, like, stick it through and continue to realize his word is true. Like, he's walking through the valley with you. And though it may not be running through the valley or driving through the valley, he's there. He is there. Like, just stay in your season and grow from your season.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're crawling. I usually say everything is temporary. Like,
yes,
we don't know.
Only a season.
Yeah, it might be a week, or 2 weeks, 6 months, but everything is temporary because everything has to eventually change. So yeah, definitely, I would definitely agree with that as well. What are some important things to do as a Christian woman you would say?
Don't lose yourself. On this journey, especially as multitaskers, mothers, workers, wives, stewards, you name it. Maybe you're the backbone for your family. Don't forget that if you don't pour into yourself, then
Mhm.
you can't pour out to others. And so if you're a giver like me, then sometimes you have to stop and say, you know what? It's okay if I stay at home and I like listen to my music, or even if I like binge watch my little shows and like re-energize myself. Just
Yeah.
don't forget not to lose yourself.
Yeah. Pamela said the same thing yesterday. She's like, you really have to um, self-care for yourself. And I think her pastor said self-care before you self-medicate. You know,
Yes.
I'm butchering it, but that's something what he was trying to say. Like, really take time. And I don't know where people or women specifically get this whole thing of if you spend time with yourself, you're being selfish. Not really, because how can you give attention to your husband, your children, your coworkers, even yourself when you're not taking time for yourself? Everybody's me time is different, right? Some people like working out. Like I like working out. That's my me time. Some people like I'm not working out. I'm gonna go read a book, and that's fine. But really, really spend time for yourself. With yourself is good.
And see, I'm gonna be honest. I'm 33. I just found myself this year. And I'm so glad for the pandemic. It sounds mean, but I'm like, it helped me find out who I was, because with me being a teenage mom, I was a single parent, and so many generational things played effect where like nobody in my family kept their kids, or all of the parents like stopped parenting. So with me, it was hard to give myself time, because I'm like, I had her. I was the one that laid down, and though he's not helping me, she didn't ask to be brought into this world. And so I would give, thinking that I can give her the life that I didn't have, when in reality those material things didn't even make a difference.
Yeah.
I always implemented God. Like, that's why I'm glad, like, during this season that she's trying to identify, at least she knows she can turn to him. She may not listen to me all the time, she may not do any of that, but she knows him. And so this year, whenever she like pulled those little lens off of my eyes and showed me who she was going to be, I was like, wow, like eventually she is going to grow up. She is going to go on about her life. And if I keep just like pouring into her and not finding out who I am, I'm going to lose it. And
Yeah.
so I started doing what you're doing, Grace. I got me a trainer. I worked out. And I'm like, God, like, this is me. Like, it's okay. I'm not a bad person. If I go get a manicure or if I go get a massage. But for so long, the enemy had my mind trapped to where it was like, if you do this, you're a bad parent. If you spend money like this, you're a bad parent. And I thought that for years. I would hear people tell me, oh, you're a good mom. You're good. And I'm like, no, I haven't even took my child to Disney World. Oh, you're a good mom. Like, I haven't even did. So now I'm just like, oh, we didn't make the Disney World. She know Jesus. He gonna get her there.
Exactly. And I can't think of the Bible scripture word for word, but it says once you teach your child, they're always going to come back, right? So
Yes, they won't go astray. Yeah.
right. If you keep on pouring, and you keep on teaching your child, even if they do kind of go to right a little bit left, they're always going to come back because you build those foundations in them, right? And definitely taking time for yourself, because doing things for yourself is not selfish, right? A lot of people that I notice is they kind of, like you were saying, they lose identity because it's like, we'll have to become. Can you hear me?
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. She'll be back. But really just losing your identity because we have to be a mother, especially when you have newborns and if you get married, you have to be a wife. So really losing your identity in that, but really bringing it back and saying, okay, what is it that I enjoyed before being these other things? That's very important. And I always like to emphasize that. Let's see this one. Let me see if she's coming back. She's coming back. And again, do me a huge favor and share this out. Oh, here we go. She's back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't worry, it's not a big deal. All I was saying really is do the things. Okay, we get lost in being everything else, and then not really focusing on ourselves. I remember having my daughter. I love reading, like I love reading. But one day after having my daughter, I realized that for 2 years I had not read a book. Because you become consumed with the baby and all the new things that comes with being well, she was 2, newborn and all this stuff. And I was like, no, I like reading. I love reading. So I was like, no, now we have to incorporate reading back into my life. So just making a self-assessment of what you guys like to do and then kind of start little by little. It doesn't have to cost money, like you said. It could be like a walk around the block just to get out. And now that it's cooler in some areas in Vegas, it's just getting out. So definitely going back. All right. And then just to kind of end it, what are some of your favorite Bible verses?
I would have to say the Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Lean not to your own understanding, but acknowledge God, and He shall direct your paths. A lot of times, I want to say specifically women, I feel like we're planners, like just mentally.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we think that because we plan everything else, we're supposed to plan our life the way that we want it to go. And it's just not like that. For years I looked at the TV and wanted like the American dream. Hey, when you're like this age, you get this type of car and you have this type of house. And believe it or not, no kids were ever in my picture. I was like, I'm gonna be rich, right? Everybody say you're gonna be rich, and I'm like, I'm rich now, not money wise, but spiritual wise. But without that verse, like I have to keep going back sometimes, and I'm like, hold on, Rundee, like this is not your life. Like regardless of the fact of how you feel, this is still like Jesus' life. When He says go left, you need to go left. And so I want to say another one of my scriptures, or I know it, but I don't know it by heart. But it's like basically it talks about looking up, to the hills where my help comes. And so what that means is when I'm down and I'm out, the only person I can go to that's going to really help me is God.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to try to go to our best friends or our moms, dad, whoever we feel comfortable with, which nothing is wrong with that. If you have that one person that you can vent to, that's fine. But to get what you really need, you have to go to God. You have to.
Yeah, I like that you said that. I mean, it's good to have like a friend, best friend, or whomever, but ultimately just going to God and getting clarity of what the next step is or what's going to happen. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yes.
All right. So anything else you want to say before we end?
No, just all advice to everybody. Just smile. Like, if you have enemies or you have people that are trying to tear you down, like sincerely pray for them. Like, don't let it get to you. It's something you're doing right. Love you. Have fun. Grace, I've never even seen you. You're such a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
I was very like elated that God would even send us, ways to cross paths so that we can even have this moment. So I pray that this touches somebody. If you don't know Jesus, it's the time to know Him. Please ask somebody. You can call me, call Grace. Like, knowing Jesus is the bomb.com.
Right.
And it's not an easy walk. So whenever you accept Christ, if somebody ever told you your life is just going to be uphill, please don't believe it. Like, He challenges you. So it's going to be some trials.
Yes, I will agree with that. And I would also agree with you that some people may have disliked this whole pandemic thing, but I, for one, and I'm hearing you, I kind of enjoyed it, not for whatever was happening, but it really, really brought a lot of things to light. It kind of made you, I had the same thought when I had my kids, like with this was what truly matters and what doesn't matter, and what's irrelevant and what does it, who cares? It kind of brought that again. So I like to hear that somebody else had the same thought. Like,
Yes.
I enjoyed it, and now everything's being a little bit better. But anyway, so thank you so much for coming on here. I truly appreciate it. And I'll be back on today, like I said, at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Rundee, thank you so much for sharing your story. You have a great afternoon now over there.
Thank you.